Good evening. Today we shall discuss regarding introduction of financial management. In today's class, we should try to understand the significance and definition of finance and financial management, and we should try to know what are the functions of financial management and to identify the goal of firm and understand why shareholders' wealth maximization is preferred over other goals. Finance is also referred as provision of money at the time when it is needed. Every business organization needs finance to meet the requirements in this economic world. Any kind of business activity depends on finance. Hence, finance is understood as the lifeblood of the organization. Any organization, either it may be firm or bank or university, it requires finance to run day-to-day affairs. As every organization pursues stiff competition, it requires finance not only for survival but also strengthening themselves. Thus, finance is said to be the circulatory system of the economic body. Finance may be defined as the art and science of managing money. In simple terms, finance is defined as the activity concerned with planning, raising, controlling, administering of the funds used in the business. Thus, finance is the activity concerned with the raising and administrating of funds using in business. Finance function is the procurement of funds and proper utilization in the business concern. Now we should try to understand what is financial management. Financial management is that managerial activity which is concerned about planning and controlling of financial resources of an organization. The main purpose of financial management is to identify the requirements of financial needs in any organization and to decide how to raise these funds through different sources, either nationally or internationally, and then allocate these funds in the long term and the short term needs of an organization and earn sufficient profit out of it. Thus, the main important functions of financial management are raising funds, investing funds, and distributing the returns earned from the assets to shareholders. Now we will try to understand what are the major functions of financial management. The first function of financial management is investment decision. This investment decision is concerned about selection of assets in which funds will be invested by a firm. The assets of a firm includes long-term assets and short-term assets. Now the question is, what proportionate of funds has to be allocated in long-term assets and what proportionate of funds have to be invested in short-term assets. This is the criteria in investment decision. Long-term asset decision is also called as capital budgeting decision. And short-term asset decision is referred as working capital decision. Now it is the duty of the financial manager to decide what proportionate of amount has to be invested in long-term assets, and the basic criteria to be considered is risk, and the return will generally flow after a long period of time. So risk is the criteria which has to be understood by the financial manager, and based upon the risk, the financial manager will try to invest his funds in the long-term assets by using various techniques like payback period method, net present value method, internal rate of method. These are the techniques which are available for assessing the projects. Based upon the risk return evaluation, he will try to allocate the funds in long-term asset. And the second part is to allocate in the working capital. Working capital is referred as the day-to-day funds which are used for running the organization, and it explains the liquidity of the organization. If a company invests more working capital, then it results in the idle funds, and if a company invests low funds in the working capital, then it results in shortage of working capital, and it stops the work in the organization. Hence, an optimum decision regarding working capital management has to be taken, and that is the part of investment decision. And the second function of financial management is regarding financing decision. Financing decision is concerned about what amount of debt capital and equity capital should be mixed, and also it is concerned about how a company has to raise its funds, because we have number of sources of funds. We have national sources, we have international sources, we have internal sources, we have external sources of finance. Now the question is, how do we select or how do we decide the sources of finance? So that particular decision is called as capital structure decision. Capital structure decision is the proportionate of debt and debt and equity mix. What should be the debt capital and what should be the equity capital? What amount of debt capital should be raised and what amount of equity capital should be raised based upon maximizing the shareholders' wealth. This decision is considered as financing decision. And the third important decision of financial management is dividend decision. Dividend decision is concerned about the distribution of profits to the shareholders. Distributing of the profits to the shareholders. Now the question is, what amount of earnings should be retained back in the organization and what amount of the earnings should be distributed to the shareholders? That is, dividend payout ratio has to be decided. A proper dividend payout ratio is an important part of financial management because this dividend payout ratio reflects the market price of the share. If an organization does not pay an exact payout ratio, then the market price of the share may be affected. Thus, the financial manager should be cautious regarding dividend decision, and then this dividend decision also depends upon the company's performance, company's policy. If a company has a strategic policy of expansion or growth, then ultimately the company required finance, so they will try to retain the capital instead of paying out and further raising the capital through finances. So internal source may be a good activity for them. So these are the main functions of financial management. Now, what is the main objective of financial management? Or we can also call as what are the goals of financial management? Financial management is concerned with mobilization of financial resources and their effective utilization towards achieving the organization in its goals. Financial decision can rationally be made only when the business enterprise has certain well thought out objectives. It is argued that achievement of central goal of maximization of the owner's economic welfare depends upon the adoption of two criteria, that is profit maximization or wealth maximization. Now we shall try to focus that what should be the criteria of a financial manager while performing the functions of financial management. Whether he should focus on profit maximization as a goal or he should focus on wealth maximization as his goal. What should be the criteria while performing the functions of financial management. The first area is profit maximization. If we assume that the financial manager is considering profit as his goal, as his objective, then it can be supported. The term profit maximization implies generation of largest amount of profits over the time period, because profits include effectiveness of business, profit include supply of capital. So this may be favorable while having the objective as profit maximization, but in broad terms, profit cannot be the only objective of an organization, because when we talk about an organization or business is not only for profits, but it is also for social responsibility, it is also for the welfare of the stakeholders, and also it is for the welfare of the shareholders. Thus, many economists argue that profit cannot be the only objective of an organization, because maximization of profits for a long term is desirable and appreciable. The tendency to maximize profits in the short run may invite innumerable problems to the organization concerned. However, profit maximization objective has been criticized on innumerable grounds. The major criticism is on it is vague. The profit is not clear. What type of profit are we preferring? Are we preferring short-term profit or long-term profit? If an organization is working to have short-term profit, then in the long run, the organization may not be profitable. If you want long-term profit, then in the short run, organization may does not have profit. Then what type of profit are we preferring, or what type of profit should be the objective of financial management is not clear. That is why it is being criticized that profit maximization objective is vague. And second criticism is it does not take the time value of money. We all knew that money does not have the same value at all times. The value of money today is always better and greater than the value of money or the value of money of tomorrow's. So ultimately, profit maximization has not taken time value of money into consideration. So this is the second criticism. And third, it has not taken risk and uncertainty of returns. Based upon this three criticism, profit maximization is not the preferred objective, rather than wealth maximization is understood as many of the financial managers prefer wealth maximization should be the real objective of an organization. Wealth maximization refers to all the efforts put in for maximizing the net present value of any particular course of action, which is just the difference between the gross present value of its benefits and the amount of investment required to achieve such benefits. As Van Horn remarks that market price of shares of a company serve as a performance index or report card of its progress. Here in wealth maximization, the objective should be increase in the market price of the share. If the market price of the share is increasing, then ultimately the organization is doing well, because market price of the share is the crux, or it is the conclusion of the total company's performance. When a particular company has good policies, good objectives and good functions, and when it is doing and performing well in the organization and in the economy, then the market price of the share increases. Then ultimately the market price of the share is a report card for us, or it is a performance index to find out that the company's performance is well. Hence, a financial manager should have wealth maximization as his objective while performing the functions of financial management. The wealth maximization objective serves the interest of suppliers, of loaned capital, employees management and society. This objective not only serves shareholders' interest by increasing the value of holding, but also ensures security to lenders also. According to wealth maximization objective, the primary objective of any business is to maximize shareholders' wealth. It implies that maximizing the net present value of a course of action to shareholders. As we knew that the real owners of the company are shareholders, hence the shareholders' wealth should be maximized. If shareholders' wealth is maximized, then that will be the appropriate objective of financial management. The objective of wealth maximization is an appropriate and operationally feasible criteria to choose among the alternative financial actions. It provides an unambiguous measure of what financial management should seek to maximize in making investment and financing decisions on behalf of shareholders. However, while pursuing the objective of wealth maximization, all efforts must be employed for maximizing the current present value of any particular course of action. It implies that every financial decision should be based on cost-benefit analysis. Thus, profit maximization is preferred over wealth maximization. Thus, profit maximization is not preferred over wealth maximization. Wealth maximization should be the ultimate objective of financial management.